You're tuned in to Fork Podcast. This week we're sitting down with Anabel Carrasquel, owner and creator of ChuchayBanana. She shares her business startup journey and the daily disciplines required to grow her business.
You have to always think about learning something every day because that is the only thing that's going to keep you young, going. And then it's not a question of age. It's a question of how do you feel?
Hi, and welcome to Fork Podcast. I'm Sean Chris Lewis, your host, and today I am here with Anabel Carrasquel. She is the creator and owner of the brand ChuchayBanana, and of course, my wife. Anabel, welcome.
Thank you so much. This is very exciting.
Yes, it truly is. I mean, when I was really starting up this whole podcast project, there wasn't a doubt in my mind that you would be sitting at this table with me because I've had the opportunity to not only see all the great things you've done in your lifetime with me, I mean, of 25 years together, but also just in the last couple of years, I've seen a few very interesting things happen with you as far as the startup of your awesome brand, which is actually lit up right now. Some crazy stuff's happening. So we're definitely going to talk about that because I know that there's some people out there who are thinking about starting perhaps a small business. And who better to talk to about getting started than somebody who's like getting started, but starting to see the actual traction in that. So yeah.
Wow, man. You make it sound like this so exciting, and then now I'm getting all nervous.
Oh, well, that's okay. That's okay. Most people who sit down for the first time in a podcast are pretty nervous, so don't worry about that one bit. But one of the best things to do is just get you talking, man, because once we get you talking, that's it. Like, you just keep going, all right?
Sounds good, man. So, and I like to talk.
Yeah, we know, Anabel. So listen, I want to jump right into this because I know that there's going to be a lot of bits of information that people can start to apply if they're thinking, like I said, about starting up a little business. And I understand you also have a full-time career.
Correct. I work for an insurance company. I have been working for them for the past 22 years. So I have done a beautiful career in there. I'm very excited. I like what I do. And then I'm happy. But on the side, I'm always looking for something different to do. So that's how basically I started to tap into, I had a little bit of free time. So I started to tap into different craft. And I'm pretty crafty. I like to do things with my hand. I like to paint. I like to sew. I like to do many things, that creative side. So last year I was in the search of doing something different. And then a friend of mine has given me some bracelets as a gift. And then I really did like them very much. But it didn't come as the first thing for me to start making bracelets or start selling bracelets. It wasn't just like that.
So ChuchayBanana it's just for the people listening, it's a business that evolves around bracelets. Is that correct?
Originally, yes. It started, that's the name I have given my mini company. It's ChuchayBanana. And then I have been called ChuchayBanana for many, many years because, as you know, I used to like to sew, and then I used to make my girls' clothing and do all kinds of creations. And then I used to do a lot of things for my sister. So she used to do a play on the words of Dolce Gabbana, me and my friend. So she used to call us ChuchayBanana. So I kept that nickname for a long time. It has been my social media nickname for a very long time. So when I started to think about creating a name for my business or my bracelets, well, what other name? ChuchayBanana. It's already done, So I said, well, why not? And then Spanish has a bit of could have a meanings on the words, but you have to be very careful because it has no negative connotation whatsoever. It was really a play of the words between Dolce Gabbana and then ChuchayBanana, really like,
Yeah, no, it's a super cute name. I actually love it. A lot of people respond really well to it, and they all ask like ChuchayBanana, what's that exactly? And got the monkey on there. It's like I think the branding itself is really beautiful. And but tell me, so the bracelets, it started off you got a gift as a gift as a bracelet from a friend, and you liked it. You got curious about it. What happened exactly? You thought, can I make these myself? Is that what happened?
Well, it goes a little bit deeper than that, but I don't want to get into all the details of what happened. But I was really looking for something to do. So I wanted to have more of these bracelets. So I started to do like a homework, like where can I buy the stones? But then I started to look at the bracelet I had versus the ones that were kind of available around, like, okay, but they don't look the same. So I happened to meet somebody who told me, no, I think that's not what you're looking for. You need to try to see where the real stones are coming from. So I started to do a lot of research. And then I started to find out that, wow, this is actually more complex than I thought. It was just a simple bracelet. I basically started to understand the type of elastics you could use, the type of stones you can use, the different sizes. They all represent something. So you have stones for your energy, for your well-being. You can make bracelets to represent your chakras. So it really evolved into this beautiful pool of knowledge. It was actually very super interesting. So I had all these bracelets. I started to wear them to my office. And then all my peers started to ask me, hey, where do you buy those bracelets? Oh, well, guess what? I made them. Oh my God, can I buy one? I'm like, sure. And then, one person brought the next, and then I started to realize, wow, this is actually really interesting. Wasn't even intending to sell them, but they were selling on their own. And then a lot of people started to ask me, can you make me a bracelet for my zodiac? Can you make me a bracelet that represents my kids? Can you make me a bracelet that represents my grandchildren? And then suddenly I started to have this custom-made design bracelets that each individual had a bracelet that's very exclusive. That means something strictly to them, representing the date of birth, the zodiac, whatever you wanted to have. I will go into doing the research and create something really specific for you. So one friend brought another friend, and then suddenly I said to myself, well, I think I better start creating like an accounting sheet for this. And slowly, I started to realize that by the end of last summer, I had made over 500 bracelets. And then
500 made by your hands
in my
personally?
Kitchen table.
Yes, we know, on that kitchen table.
Yeah, on my kitchen table. So I found that was more rewarding was at one point when I was doing the bracelets, I started to get the money. I said, well, what can I do with this? So I started to think about what a beautiful thing if I could give a gift to somebody. So the experience was so much fun for me that I wanted to replicate this into somebody, to bring a smile to somebody. So I'm from Venezuela, and then Venezuela is going through certain difficult times right now. So I started to think, well, why not to create or take this opportunity to bring some joy to children or to a person? It doesn't really matter. I could not have the funds to feed anybody, but I could have the funds to make one day a fun day or a day of a recreational time. So I started to formulate the idea. I have a very close friend of mine. It's actually almost a family that I trust tremendously. I connected with her, presented the idea, and then she actually works for the church. She's a teacher, so she's in contact with everything I wanted to do. And then we created the first activity. So we were able to bring kids that who never have been into a club with a pool for a day where we pay for the lunches. We pay breakfast, transportation, lunches, the whole day in the pool. and entertainment. And there were about 17 kids. So that was the first activity. Then the second activity was a nice closed day at school where 90 sandwiches were provided for all the kids with all the soft drinks and then some inflatables. And, and one activity below the other one and the other one. So every time that happened, I felt the desire to do more bracelets just because it was making somebody happy.
I actually remember you talking about that. Specifically, I was quite impressed with the idea that you said that, well, ChuchayBanana's generating some good volume and the business is working and you want to be, a responsible entrepreneur and give back somehow. But you said, I can't really provide supplies and things that would do a lot. So you really wanted to drive your efforts towards the children. And you said, we all have those great memories as kids of that day, right? That day we went to the park and there were fireworks or something, and you were giving children memories. You're creating memories. And I thought that was brilliant because it wasn't about the parents, although parents attended, but it was really focused on helping the children just to have a fun day to put in their script of memories, right?
Correct. So like I said, there is some non-profit organizations or companies out there who do tremendous things like building a school, feeding, you name it, buying school supplies. But at this point in my point where I am, I could not do that. I didn't have the funds to do that, but I could make a difference. So they said, okay, in this scale where I can make the difference, that's what I want to do. And then I have made it basically my focus. So it's funny because you use the word entrepreneur, and then I never saw it that way. I saw it as something really fun part of me, and then all the rewards that this was bringing to me made it so much fun that I never even saw it as I was creating an enterprise. Let's put it that way. It was my hobby that was creating this positive circle. I was doing something that I am very passionate about it. I was selling it. The person was receiving this gift. And then with that exchange, I was getting some money and I was making somebody else happy.
But I would stop you for a second and say, hell, that's a key ingredient in sticking with a project, right? You love it so much and you're being so rewarded by it that that's what keeps you going. I think if people start with the money, they want to go after money first. And then Anabel, I've seen you over the last almost 2 years with building this brand and the frustrations and you've got to really learn this thing from the ground up. And if you weren't loving it, and if it wasn't giving you some significant rewards other than money, I would say that you probably wouldn't have continued and done it this long.
Correct, because let's face it, when you have a corporate work, like when you have a job, sometimes you say it's in 8 to 5, but sometimes my job is 8 to 6. Sometimes it's 8 to 6:30, and sometimes I have to put a lot of extra hours. So when do I make my bracelets? Chances are it's after the dishes are done. So you come home, you do your supper, you do this, you do your routine. I even try to stick to my workouts. And then when I sit at the table to make bracelets, we're talking about it's 8:30 at night, 9 o'clock. So I do my bracelets sometimes at nighttime. I'm quiet. I can be creative. I put some kind of music. And I am in my bubble in my kitchen. I don't have a...
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes, as a testimony to that, sometimes I'm an early to bed kind of guy. I'm going to bed at maybe 9:30, 9:45. And good night, Anabel, I'm off. And I wake up the next morning. One of the, not the very first thing that I do, but one of my morning rituals is I check my Instagram. And on my stories, I see, I'm like, holy Moses, what has this woman been doing? You'll have like 10 bracelets made in envelopes ready for mailing. And I'll look at the time frame and it will say posted maybe 8 hours ago or 7 hours ago. And I'm like, wow, hats off, man. You're up doing your thing late at night. But I would say that must be part of this, right, Anabel? That for people who are thinking about starting a business up, and I think we got to think big for sure. We need to think big, but I do believe that our actions need to be small. It's the daily small actions that add up to our greatest successes. So if there's people who are thinking about starting something up because they might be sitting in a job that they don't not necessarily unhappy in, but they feel that they could be fulfilled some other way in their life through their work, what would you say?
I would say, first of all, try to discover what is that you want to do.
But how? Like we
by
hear
trying,
that.
like a lot of people said, but how? Well, you won't know if you don't try. You don't know if you like to play bowling if you never have played it, right? Or you don't know if you like to go for a run versus doing weights.
So getting out of just habitual living.
Yeah, look, I have very good friends of mine who are phenomenal cooks. They make cookies. They're so gifted in that area, but they never will pack a cookie to bring it to me and say, hey, I'm selling my cookies. And that's, I think, the day you get that exchange, that you are able to say one cookie or one bracelet, hey, and people say, oh my God, it's beautiful. Oh my God, it's delicious. You say, wow, is that for real? Or is that just because you're my friend? But when then that process starts and you get a lot of people that, man, God, that is fantastic. That's great.
Like an online order. I remember your very first online order from somebody you didn't even know.
I'm telling you, it's so magical when you get that first thing and then they have the courtesy to write back and say, wow, go my bracelet. It smells beautiful because I made my bracelets with perfume or oils. It smells beautiful. Oh my God, I love the packaging. Or thank you so much for the note that you included or the meaning that you put inside the bracelet, depending what they have bought. And then to me, that is more rewarding than the money. Mm-hmm. And then the nice thing is every 3 months, I basically contact all my clients who have bought a bracelet and tell them what I have done with the profits of these bracelets. So I allocate a certain percentage of this to the activity. So I tell them, okay, so look, here is some personalized pictures of this is what we have done in the past. I make it public and that, but I take the time to send them something through an email or Facebook. Mm-hmm. So I try to keep it, it's still very small, so I'm trying to keep it as personal as possible. Would I be able to sustain this when I go huge? I hope so.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, I think.
I'm just making a joke in that when I go huge.
No, you're gonna go huge. There's no doubt. Go big or go home, right? No, I mean, you do certainly. You are somebody who dreams big. You couldn't have left your country at a young age as a first-generation immigrant. I mean, you are a first-generation immigrant. You came to Canada, you didn't speak French, you didn't speak English, and you're quadrilingual. Is that the word? I don't want to make up words, but you really are somebody who saw a bigger life for yourself and went out after that. And so tell me that now that you're at this phase, okay, so you're still in growth mode, things are happening now.
Always on growth, always in expansion. You have to always think about learning something every day, because that is the only thing that's going to keep you young, going. And then it's not a question of age. It's a question of how do you feel? How is that energy going? So for me, yes, you're absolutely right. When I came to Canada, I was 24 years old. it was a totally crazy experience. I basically literally landed in Canada just like by fluke. And then it's been 27 years already in Canada. I consider myself fully bilingual. I speak English, French, Spanish,
Parli
Italian.
Italiano?
Yeah, I mean, I get by. And then a lot of the things I would say is just learn something new every day. If it's about your neighbor, if it's about your friend, if it's about the culture, if it's about the language, if it's about the food, just learn, read, enjoy music, laugh. So for me, that's what it has been all this experience over these past years. I made it a purpose to integrate in the Canadian society. It was really lucky that at university I was able to make friends with other people from other countries who didn't speak Spanish. So I was able to I was forced to basically to integrate into the culture. So if I'm gonna say somebody coming into Canada, try to integrate. Because as you integrate, you can actually grow, you expand your culture, you expand your views. So I'm more Venezuelan than ever. I had never lost my identity. But I have integrated very well in the Canadian culture, very well.
Mm-hmm. So just on the topic of immigration or being an immigrant, because I think this is very helpful, especially today, because people have become hypermobile, right? Immigration is the thing right now. Many people are just living in the countries that they were not born in, and I think new immigrants who come in and sometimes don't have the they have their education, but they don't have the equivalency, and that could be very frustrating if you have a good education, but you don't have your equivalency. And sometimes the best thing for them to do is maybe start a small business. What do you think? Because we might know commonly a few people who've tried small businesses, and personally, I would say they gave up too soon. Or what's your insight into what may be not just an immigrant, but immigrants and anybody else who might be trying to start a small business?
Well, I think what happens, if you don't have money to start a business and just do it 100% and sustain it and live out of the business, then you need to work. So it takes double the work, right? So I would say, if I can advise anybody from what I have experienced, obviously, is if you have an idea, work at it, polish it, nourish it. And then if you need to have another job, try to create a tight schedule. I didn't have this last year. This year is different. This year, my schedule is very tight. So I get up very early. I get out of the way certain things that I like to do that I know I cannot do at nighttime. I go to work, and then I schedule my day as it should be to be able to do the delivers I need to do. And then when I leave the office, then I can devote my time to the things I want to do. So if I want to come home and spend some time with the girls and then they're watching TV, I can sit with them for 30, 40 minutes and then immediately, okay, now it's time for the next. But if you don't have money to pay the rent and you have a dream, that dream really becomes very a dream, because you need to go and find your money to make your living.
I find the dream also gets more distant,
of course,
when we have less money, but that's the merit of continuing to do a job and seeing past you might not be happy, not you, but somebody might not be happy in a job that they're doing, but if they can just get a vision that this job is getting me closer to the things that I inevitably want to do, maybe making that, like reframing it, could help them.
know, Shan, I'm just going to be transparent because a lot of people might think out there, well, maybe because she's been here for a long time, she had this money, blah, blah, blah. I invested like $300 in the first time I ordered stones. I didn't even know. Yeah. I don't even know what I was getting into. So I ordered $300, and you know me, I'm very careful with my budget. So when I made my first order to see the stones, I didn't even know if the stones were going to be plastic or they were real stones. I wanted to see what they were. So I already had purchased something else that I wasn't 100%. I didn't like the looks. But then when I got these new stones that they came into the mail, I have ordered, I was like, wow, man, this is just beautiful. I took the other stones, the ones I have bought at cheaper quality. I said, I don't want to see any of this because that's not what I wanted. I wanted to create a bracelet that for the price people were going to pay, they had the best quality possible. So I started to invest in that. But as I invested those $300, I wasn't even sure that I was going to sell a bracelet.
Of course.
So, slowly I started to say, okay, but I don't like the connector. I don't like the elastic. I don't like the feel. So I started to change something. But I said to myself, I will not pass $500 into this hobby. Mm-hmm. So I started like that. So then when people started to ask me to buy a bracelet, they started to buy bracelets, I started to recover my money. So I immediately reinvested my $500 again. And then $500 again. And then suddenly, by December, I could not believe it. I was unbelievable cash positive. But I didn't invest a big money. So depending on the idea, what you have, you can start very small and slowly expanding what is that you want to do. Right now, my expectations of ChuchayBanana are totally different. And in regards to the product, I started to expand a little bit more. I started to consider adding other things to the bracelets. But I'm very careful about what I'm going to do. I'm still in the baby stages and just can share with you what I know so far. But one thing I have done is work on my mindset, trying to believe that I can do this and then I can make it bigger, that I can make it expand and grow. So
can you just take a couple of minutes just to share what you're doing to work on your mindset? Because I've witnessed you doing that, and with no other things changed in your life other than your new daily rituals, I've seen change. I've seen something very, very interesting happen. I've seen your business practically double. I've just seen you lit up on your social media. I see you working at your table, the kitchen table, more than ever. So what's happening there?
As I said, I like to read. I have done often personal development just for myself to find a peace of mind and so on. So there is a lot of gurus out there. There are people who tell you what to do, how to do it.
But what are you specifically doing?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I love Bob Proctor. I really do. I like his philosophy. I love his meditation. So when I decided, I said, okay, I wanted to practice personal development with one person only. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to start doing what Bob Proctor suggested to do. So I bought his book. And then I started to follow all his rituals. Right?
But you also bought Think and Grow Rich too, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I'm reading 5 books all at once. But right now, that book, I'm studying it. I'm not reading it.
Think and Grow Rich.
Yes, okay. Correct. So I'm reading it. So I'm following the gratitude part. So I do 10 gratitudes every day. So it's the 5 o'clock club. So you get up at 5 o'clock?
Mm-hmm. I'm not following that for a second. So the 5 o'clock club, what is that?
Well, it's Bob Proctor says, there's a lot of people say that you can get up at 5 o'clock an hour earlier than you start your day.
Oh, so this is that Robin Sharma thing, that the 5 a.m. club.
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
So I get up at 5. I do a ritual of gratitude. I do meditation and I do study. Then for 6, get ready to go to work. Then go to the gym before I hit the office. And then from there, I do my schedule, come home, do my home routine. And then by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I'm back on my production.
Okay. And so those daily rituals, how long you've been doing that for now?
Well, about a month.
About a month. Okay. So, and I will vouch for you on that. I haven't seen you waver from your daily rituals. So how important would you say those rituals are? And if you think they're important, which you obviously do because you're doing them, why do you think they help to yield results?
I think it's because they shift your mind into the goal, into what is that you're doing or what is that you're trying to attain. I would say that is basically, it has a really, first of all, it keeps me in track about being grateful about everything I got, the good and the bad, because in everything we have a lesson. That's number one. Second of all, I do like my readings and I know exactly where I'm going. It's all how do you basically follow the things that where you need to go. I'm not sure how to explain it. But for me, it's really keeping me in track because I can get very distracted, right? I have a bit of an artist mind, so I can get a bit distracted and, I don't feel like doing it today. So with this daily ritual, it's like, no, there is no excuse. Just go ahead and do it and just get it done. And I have my list of things I have to do every day. So I've been using my calendar. I have been using my list to dos included in my calendar. Everything is being scheduled right now.
I like that, actually. I really like that a lot, what you just said, because rituals really help people to create that place of where to start, right? Like we all get confused, especially if you have these big ideas and you want to get going. You got to get a website. You got to get, you got to get on a podcast. You got to get social media handles, and it can get super overwhelming. I personally, actually, even though I love to listen to YouTube videos of, say, Gary Vaynerchuk or that can sometimes, just the talk could overwhelm me and make me feel like I'm so far behind.
100%.
So what do? I turn to my rituals. I go to the gym. I call you. You'll say, okay, Sean, breathe. Just calm down. And I calm down and I find my happy place. But without rituals, I think I'd be like a dog chasing my tail.
No, because I think you just explained it. Like Gary V is amazing. Like he would not be where he is without doing everything he does. But my God, I don't have his energy. And then I don't like, it's not that I don't have it. It's just to follow what he says, I haven't gotten there yet. I think you have to have a mindset to do what he does.
I personally say you're closer than you think you are. Actually, I would say, based on what you've talked about, you're very much along the lines, because you have your rituals. You don't waver from them. You're sticking with it. You're creating a lot of content. You're keeping your clients satisfied. You're following up with them. You're not expecting overnight success. Anabel, I think you're really onto it.
Thank you, Sean. That's very nice, because sometimes we don't see our own successes, right? We often criticize the things that, I didn't do it so well, I didn't do that. But what I try to say about Gary V, for anybody who's out there who listens to Gary V or Tony Robbins, or if you haven't done the baby steps, you cannot do the big steps. And then I think when those guys talk, they talk often about the big steps, the acceleration steps. But
yeah, because they're in that big place in their head.
Correct.
And yeah.
So you cannot run if you don't know how to walk. So that's why I said, create your rituals, create that consistency and just be persistent. Do it day in, day out.
Do you know, Anabel, sorry to interrupt for a second because you're making such amazing points and they're just lighting me up a bit, that I can draw a direct relationship between getting up early in the morning and going to the gym and succeeding in your business. I can draw a direct line of connection to those
100%.
two things. So it's those daily rituals that don't seem very glamorous, that sometimes don't make for great posts on Instagram because, you're sitting at a table doing a gratitude journal. I think taking a picture of myself doing a gratitude journal is a little bit off base. So nobody knows you're doing a gratitude journal. So you don't share that in your social media. And then you feel like it's not a relevant part to your growth in your business, but it is it's the stuff, like they say, it's the stuff you do when nobody's watching that really counts for the long-term goal.
100%. So if you stop cheating yourself, because I think we want to show the world that we are all this and that, but at home, we're just doing the opposite. Don't cheat. Just do what you gotta do.
Don't cheat when nobody's watching.
That's right.
Well, Anabel, can you tell everybody what is your social media handle? How can they get in touch with you? I will, of course, put that in the show notes anyways, but it's right there on that shirt.
Yeah, it's a ChuchayBanana.
What's your Instagram handle?
ChuchayBanana.
Okay.
So it's Anabel and ChuchayBanana. Either one that you type is gonna come up.
You're popping up right there. Okay. All right. So Anabel, I want to tell you this was, hey, you were harder to get on here than I think if I asked Michelle Obama, man. Like I couldn't get your time. So I wanted you to be my first podcast, and here it is, like my fourth or fifth. But I got you, and
Thank
that was
you.
great, Anabel. I really appreciate you giving me your time for this, because I do know your time has really gotten condensed here. So
I actually gonna thank you and congratulate you in this new endeavor. It looks like you're doing phenomenal. You sound really good. I mean, you're my husband, but I never seen you to do listen to your podcast. I want to congratulate you and I wish you all the success and keep doing what you've been doing, because it's really, really great.
Thank you, Anabel. So listen, you have an awesome day, Anabel, and you guys out there have a great day too. Thank you for tuning in to Fork Podcast.